this is Paige Evans, and I am excited to share how I made this layout for the Scrapbook Expo blog featuring cross-stitching or embroidering. I need to look up what the actual difference is. But there are a few pattern papers in my Take Me Away collection with pink paisley that were specifically designed for cross-stitching in mind. And I finally got around to cross-stitching them this past weekend. And so I started with paper number 3, and I used a pair of scissors and just cut it in half basically along the zigzag line. I couldn't decide which half I wanted to stitch because I just couldn't stitch the whole thing. Maybe someday. So I trimmed off the bottom and sat for a minute and decided that I was going to go ahead and stitch the top half. So using a paper piercer, poke a hole through every corner of the X's. So where the corners meet, you will only need to poke one hole. All right, I should zoom in and show you this, but basically, yeah, you just poke a hole at the end of every X, and that is where you're going to be stitching with thread. Even just poking the holes takes some time, but I really love the whole process. It's something that relaxes me and helps calm me down. So I tried to use colors that matched exactly the colors on the pattern paper. I started with the dark teal, and there are 2 colors of aqua on this paper. There's a darker and a lighter. There's not very much of the lighter color, so I actually went and stitched some of the darker teal with the lighter teal. I did the same thing with the pink thread. There are a lot, not a lot, but there's more of the darker pink color than the lighter pink, but I tried to balance it and use the same amount of dark pink as light pink. Okay, so when you're done stitching, tie a knot on the back of your stitching project and then tie a knot where you trimmed it off and you'll be good to go. So I stitched all of the same color first. So here I'm finishing up stitching with the dark teal, dark aqua, whatever color you want to call this. I finished stitching all of those colors, all of the same color first. Trim off the excess, and then I'm going to move on to the light teal or the robin's egg blue. So if you look carefully on the paper, this is actually the darker color, but like I said, I decided I wanted more of the lighter blue, and the stitching covered up the color anyway. So I guess technically you could use whatever colors you want to stitch. But I just tried to match colors to color, keep it easy on myself. Alright, so I just filmed every once in a while showing some updates of how the stitching was going. This whole stitching process probably took about 7 or 8 hours. Here I'm pointing out that I'm using the lighter pink thread, even though it was the darker pink color. Alright, so about 8 hours later, tying the last knot, and ta-da! Okay, there's the back. Ta-da! All finished. So I just wanted to zoom in quickly and show you the stitching up close. So here's the front, then flip it over to the crazy back. There's a lot of stuff happening, but nobody will ever see it, so it doesn't matter what it looks like. And back to the front. Super fun. So I decided to use the bottom half as the bottom half of the background, but I just used a full sheet of it instead because it would have been a little hard to match it up perfectly and still have it be 12 by 12. At this point, don't do what I did. Cover the background with vellum first because I ended up having to go through and take everything off to add the vellum. I wanted to tone down the background a bit because it was a bit busy. I'll show you at the end how I did that, added the vellum, but at this point, add your vellum to tone down the background before adding all your photos and title and embellishments. So I'm using 2 photos from our Christmas photos last year. I kind of feel like this stitched embroidery has a Christmas feel going on, right? Kind of looks like Christmas sweaters, and the colors are just a little Christmassy. So these pictures from our Christmas photo shoot went perfectly. I created a title. I combined my fancy free thickers with Take Me Away thickers, and I love how this stamp has DEU for Deutschland, which is Germany, which is where we live. And I'm just kind of creating a collage of a title. Different textures, different thicknesses, different fonts, and just adding some embellishments here and there, creating a cluster underneath and around the photos. So yes, the top half is very busy, but you also want the photos to stand out. So to help the photos stand out, I also added a white border around the pictures, and then creating clusters and adding like this wood veneer heart around really helps draw the eye into the photos. I've changed the layout a little bit. I decided to move the photos vertically instead of horizontally, so now I'm moving everything over just a bit. This is why I don't adhere anything down until I'm completely sure that that's where I want it. And once I know everything is in place, then I will adhere it. Decided not to go with that journaling right there. I ended up typing it with my We Are Memory Keepers typecast typewriter, but that was just the direction I was going at the time. So here I stitched the year down, just a simple straight stitch, and then added the journaling underneath. But yeah, it was so busy, so I decided to cover a brand new sheet with vellum and then picked everything off and put it back on. I did have to re-sew the numbers. I couldn't pick the numbers of the year off, so just maybe I can get creative and find a different use for those ones. But yeah, just added new numbers, and now I'm happier with the way it looks with the bottom half toned down just a little bit. It was just quite busy. Vellum does the trick. I think it's been years since I've used vellum. That would be a fun challenge to see if fun ways to use vellum. Who's with me? Let's do it. So here's the finished layout. I hope you enjoyed seeing how to cross stitch this pattern paper, and thank you so much for watching. See you again soon.